Google Labs has another experiment called Little Language Lessons. And this is, as they say, a collection of bite-sized learning experiments built with Gemini. So if you want to follow along, this is labs.google/LLL for Little Language Lessons. And this is their homepage. And if you go up in the upper right to right here, this little I, this is actually their FAQ. And you can go through, and there's a handful of questions in there. But as I just kind of said, Little Language Lessons, like what is it? It's bite-sized learning experiments built with Gemini, and they provide personalized ways to practice a language. So think if you just want to learn a language, maybe you're going to visit somewhere that you've never been before and you don't speak the language. Maybe you're moving somewhere and you don't speak the language, etc. And that's blah, blah, blah. And then how do I use? You can go through. I'm not going to read through all this, but you can go through and just see kind of the high level of how to use everything. The only other one that I'll point out on here is, because this is Google Labs, they're experimenting, they're still testing, and it's AI, it is possible that you might see information that's incorrect or offensive or inappropriate. So if that's an issue, I wouldn't recommend using it if you have, young children or just whoever that you don't want to possibly be exposed to anything that's mentioned in here. Then just note that this is one of the things with experiments. So in here you have tiny lessons, which is just literally what is a tiny lesson. And Slang Hang is interesting because slang, a lot of times when you're learning a language, you just learn kind of the textbook formal way to say things, and then you go to the place and that's not really how people talk. So Slang Hang actually lets you kind of get more immersed into whatever language/culture, and it's just like, here are ways that people actually talk, here are phrases that they actually use, and here's what they mean. And then WordCam lets you use your camera and then take a picture of something, and then it gives you information about it. I didn't get WordCam to work. Every time I tried it, it just had some kind of error, so I can't really talk deeply about that one. But let's look at tiny lessons, and you go in, and then you can select whatever language, and let's do German, and then you can put in a purpose or a theme. So again, if you're visiting a German-speaking country and you're, let's say, let's say you're going out to dinner. So you're going to a restaurant, and then now you click generate, and Gemini is going to go through and give you some common vocabulary you might hear, might need to use, some common phrases, and then just some overall tips. Or it won't work. And I've had this happen a handful of times, and I don't know if it's just because the servers are too busy or because I have too many generations with Gemini. But if it doesn't work, you have the option to just retry. So let's see what that does. Yeah. So now here are some common words, and like this is the German, and then this is the English translation, because have the site language here set to English. You can change this. It has like English, Spanish, French, and then Brazilian, Portuguese. But whatever language you have set here, that's what it will translate into underneath. And then let me turn this on. So yes, you can read it here, and then you can click here, and then to hear what it sounds like.
Das Restaurant.
And this table, and again,
Der Tisch.
So etc. So you can go through whatever vocabulary, then if you want more, you can expand it. I'm not going to expand that because I don't know how many of these are going to actually fail. But let me see if I can get phrases to work. Yeah. So now, instead of just, one word at a time, now here are some common phrases that you might need. Again, I'd like to reserve a table for this. What do you recommend, etc. And then again, you can just read it, or you can listen to what it actually sounds like.
Ich möchte einen Tisch reservieren.
Again, you can expand here, get more phrases, and then there are tips just for things about the language. And again, I'm not going to read through all that, but it has a tip here, and then it has some examples of that tip. And then again, you can expand it to get more. For this section, you can also click on the pencil, and then you can change it. So if say, okay, I'm good to go for the restaurant. Now I want to, I don't know, visit a park or something. I can click on the pencil. I can change this, German for going to a park, and then I can generate and then do the whole thing again. Again, I'm not going to do this on here because I don't know if I'm going to hit a limit with Gemini and won't be able to show the next section. But going back, so the second area is Slang Hang, and you come in here and similar, you pick a language. So let's do Spanish, Latin America, and then interesting thing in here, and again, it's slang, so this makes sense. Certain languages will have like regional dialects. So this is just Latin American Spanish, and then there's Argentinian, Colombian, Costa Rican, Mexican, etc. So I mean, you can get very regional with the slang, which makes sense because slang is usually regional. So let's pick Colombian, and then now let's generate and see. And this, when I did this before, it had a scenario, and then it had basically a conversation between two people, and then it would point out different slang terms that they used, and then it would define it and say something about it, and then you could define the actual whole thing that they said, and then just continue the conversation or just kind of move on. So hopefully this goes through. Yeah. Okay, so you can read through this, but it's like Sophia and Juan, et cetera, and here is their actual scenario. And then Sophia speaks first, and then everything that's underlined here, you can actually mouse over, and it'll have something to say about it. And like those are usually the pieces of slang. And so those are some examples. And then if you wanted to see what the translation was for this, you click the little, that's the Google Translate icon there. And then it'll think about it, and then it'll translate this. It's like, okay. And then you could also, just like the other one, you can click on the little speaker here, and then it'll actually read it to you.
Uf, parce, qué pedaleada la de hoy. Sentí que las piernas me iban a explotar.
So then now if you hit spacebar, it'll continue the conversation. And again, now this is one, and here's some slang, here's some more slang, and then I can listen to Juan read this.
Ni me digas, creo que le dimos como 3 vueltas al parque, o más. Pero valió la pena, ¿no? El día está súper chévere.
And then again, I can translate. So again, you can just keep hitting spacebar, and they'll just keep talking. And then I think I went like 6 deep last time, and then it started to just fail. So I'm not going to keep going on that for, again, the same reason. But then you can come up to the top here, and you can get a whole new scenario and then work through that one the same way. So I mean, again, this is interesting. A lot of the language learning tools, apps, programs that I've used over the years, they definitely do, like that's the tiny lesson one, but very few of them will do actual slang. And I think that helps a lot if you're going to an area and you're going to actually talk to people who lived there for any measurable period of time. Because, I mean, I think whatever language you speak, you probably say more slang than like formal book, speaking of the language. So I think that's really useful. And then I'll go into WordCam. I don't actually have a camera connected to this, so I can't really go very far with this. But you come in, and the whole idea is you snap a photo, and then you learn how to talk about your surroundings. Again, you pick a language, let's say French, and then you turn on your camera, and then, again, you take a picture of something. Again, every time I tried this, it actually errored out for me. So I don't know what that will actually look like. I'll try it again later and see. And again, it even has the note here. It's like, hey, by the way, this might be offensive or inaccurate. If that concerns you, you might not want to use it. But yeah, I mean, that's Little Language Lessons. It's a Google Labs experiment. So that basically means that they might keep it, they might not. It might change. So that's interesting at all. Go to the site. It's, again, labs.google/LLL. And then, I don't know, just kind of poke around, try some of these things, see if they're interesting. And yeah, see you next time.